previously indicated that Insight Maker was a very deep, capable, feature-rich, capable environment, though that you shouldn't be overwhelmed because it would only take a few minutes for you to learn enough of the pieces to create a relationship map in Insight Maker. And while you may not have thought that was possible, I'm now going to show you that it's actually true. So go to insightmaker.com. You already should have your username and password, and go ahead and log in. And when you do, that will take you to the login page. You go ahead and log in. It will take you to your insights page, and it's probably blank because you haven't created any insights yet, though you will shortly. And then click on create new insight, which brings up a demo model, provides a sequence of how you go about walking through a sequence to create a simulation model. But since we're just going to create a relationship model, we don't need any of this. So just click here and tell it to clear this demo model. So this is the canvas that you work on. This is the toolbar that provides all of the pieces that you will use to build models with. And on the right is a parameters panel, and we'll show you shortly what shows up in this panel. Now notice at the top it says insightmaker.com/insight, and there's no defined insight number, reference number for this insight because we haven't created one and saved one yet. Now, there are a multitude of primitives and that are used to create models with, and to make it easy, we're simply going to use one at the moment called a variable. When you select it, it puts a variable on the screen, and you can then go ahead and double click on the label and say call it Tom. So we have a variable which is just an entity that you apply a label to, and you can then go ahead and tell it that you want to create another variable, or you can simply right click on the screen and select from the drop down, and it will create them there, and we'll call this Jerry. And then there are two kinds of connections that you can make between elements or primitives, one being flows, which are used with simulation models, and the other being links, and we're only going to use links. So if you select link and then mouse over Tom, you'll notice that the little arrow shows up. So you can click on that and drag to Jerry, and it creates a link between the two of them with an arrow in the direction that you're going. And you now have Tom and a relationship with Jerry, and what that relationship is, we can go ahead and look over here on the parameters panel, and if we select this, it says it's a link. The name is link. There's a place to put a note, and it's not bidirectional. So if we then go ahead and write in here chases and hit enter, it puts a label on the relationship to say Tom chases Jerry. That's all it takes to create the first initial relationship model with two entities and a definition of what the relationship is. Now notice that there's a save option here, which is not grayed out. It is gray, but it's not dimmed, meaning that this has not yet been saved. So if you click save, it will bring you up a dialog box to go ahead and title this, and we'll call it my first model, and there's a place to put a set of tags and a description, how easy it is to create. So, I do this all the time. Create a model or a relationship map, or whatever you choose to call it. So I've now saved this, but notice that this is now grayed out saying that it's saved, but there's still no number here because it isn't capable of finding what the number is that it just saved. So if we now just go back to Insight Maker, clicking on home, takes us back to my insights page, and notice that the first one here is called My First Model, and it was created 22 seconds ago. So if I now click on this and open it, I know now that this is model number 20,734. And if I wanted to share this model with someone else, all I need to do is select this insight, copy it, and email it to them. And they can then look at this model. They won't be able to edit it. There are ways that you can give them access to edit it if you want them to, though all of the models that you create in Insight Maker, unless you explicitly make them private, are visible by anyone else. And all they need to have is the URL. Now note that what they see when they access your model will be different than what you see, because they don't have options to change it. So let me go ahead and log out, and then go ahead and type in that URL. Notice that I get settings, simulate, tools, and zoom. This is what someone else would see if they accessed the model that you created. So let me go ahead and go back and log in, because I want to be back in the edit mode. So I'll log back in and then open my model. So I have Tom and Jerry, and you notice that all I do is right click to create a variable. I can assign a name here, another variable, or I can actually assign it over here. I can also change the size of the variable. I can rotate it, I can select it and move it around any place that I want it. And there are a set of style commands, so I can change the font and the line color and the type size and all of the typical kinds of editing things, cosmetic things that one might do to elements of a model. And simply by selecting link and mousing over, I can go ahead and attach a link. And the links are actually connected. A link itself, if it has a name of link, it doesn't show, but if you give it any other name, some relation, relation, if you give it any name other than link, it will show up. And if you change it back to link, then it doesn't show up. Now, while links are initially created as straight lines, if you select it, hold down the shift key, you can put a waypoint on it, and you can actually create curved lines, and you can put as many waypoints on it as you need to, so that you can reshape the line as needs be to go around whatever, and it will change as you move around. The other option that you have is that you can select an item, hold down the control key, and you can duplicate an item. I find it usually much easier to do. If I get something the size that I want it, it's much easier to duplicate it than it is to actually create a new one. And then I can double click on it and change the new name. So that's oh, and if you want to get rid of something, simply select it and hit the delete key. The undo works, delete, find and replace. I mean, there's all of the typical kinds of environmental editing. So in terms of actually creating a relationship model, create variables, connect them with links, and you have developed a relationship model. And the two pieces that you need to do this with, you have learned all about in less than 10 minutes. So, as I said, it's a deep environment, though it doesn't take forever to learn about how to use the pieces. Now notice that every time I make a change, saved actually highlights, and then it dims again because every change that you make is automatically saved, so you don't have to worry about saving the changes because they're automatically saved. And if for some reason it hasn't yet saved, if you go ahead and try to leave the page, it will give you a message saying, you know, do you really want to leave? It hasn't been saved yet. Sometimes you have to click here to remind it to do a save. So that's what it takes to develop a relationship model in Insight Maker. Now, in future videos, there will be lots of elaboration on various and sundry things that you can do in this environment, though the basics are just either select a variable from the drop down, or right click and select a variable, assign it a name, and then draw links between the variables and put labels on them that describes what the relation is between those two variables. So hope you found this interesting, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.